The following is a shortened version of our Ask Greg Cosell show on our Patreon platform for our Tier 3 Bomb Post Touchdown members. Each week, our Tier 3 members get to talk directly to Greg in a live chat room and have Greg answer their Eagles and NFL questions. To become a member and get your chance to talk directly to Greg or to enjoy other bonus ITB content on Patreon, go to patreon.com/InsideTheBirds and sign up. Here's the latest question and answer session with Greg.
But I thought it was much improved, Greg. What did you see?
I would agree. And, it's funny. One thing I've learned, and I've learned this from former players and coaches as well, Carl, is when a team is good, and obviously the Eagles have a good O-line and a very good run blocking offense. So when a team is good at something and they've shown it over time, if they have a bad game, normally they come back the next week and do it well because they're good players and they've done it well over time. If they're bad at something, you never know. But this team is a good run blocking unit. They blocked well all year. You mentioned Gainwell, and I'm trying to remember the play in which it was the Smith 22-yard touchdown on 3rd and 12 that ended the second possession when the Cowboys lined up in a six-man front and with what we call double mug, meaning they had both linebackers in the A gaps, and they rushed all six because they know how teams protect versus double mug. They use the back to step up inside, and they actually ran an inside stunt with both of the linebackers. Gainwell was phenomenal on that play because the key part there is you have to step up and get away from the quarterback. You can't just take one step up because then you're too close to the quarterback. So he did a phenomenal job of stepping all the way up almost to the line of scrimmage and making the needed block because you have to give the quarterback room and space. And I can't tell you how many times you see backs just take one step and they're kind of in the way of the quarterback. And the quarterback just doesn't feel comfortable. So Gainwell, as Adam has talked about all year, and he's right, Gainwell is the best blocker they have of the backs.
Did their run fits seem a little leaky compared to some of the previous weeks? Even last week against Robinson, I think they held him to like 24 yards.
Yeah, I didn't feel. I mean, there were a couple of runs as the game progressed when the Eagles had kind of control of the game, where Daddle started. There were a few, but I thought throughout the early part of the game, I didn't think they were getting gashed early. So yeah, I mean, I think over the course of a game, and the other thing too is when you start to control a game, I think that there's always going to be plays that the offense makes, a couple of plays here and there that you sort of have to kind of not look at as, oh, there's problems. Because they're going to make those plays.
Like the Cowboys came out with a plan to attack Quinyon Mitchell, and it looked like he struggled a little bit. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on, Quinyon's performance in the game. I mean,
this week he did give up some completions. The question is, what does that mean? It's the NFL. You play a lot of snaps. Guys, obviously he gave up the touchdown to was that Tolbert?
Yes.
On the fade ball, which he was right there. It was just,
it wasn't bad coverage.
It wasn't like he got killed, but yeah, he gave up some completions on the outside, where he was, he struggled to stop, where, which is something I learned from TJ Hushmanzada a number of years ago. I had a great conversation at the either the Senior Bowl, not Senior Bowl, the Super Bowl or the Combine about both receivers and corners. And he just talked about how, guys have to be able to stop, that it's a very overlooked trait. And he struggled to stop a few times. He's a big, longer body. I mean, Frank, I'd be hard pressed to sit here and say that, man, this guy's now not a good player. I think guys are going to get beat. He really hasn't gotten beat badly over the top where you go, oh my God, what's going on here? There was, look, Slay got beat a couple of times in this game too. And Slay's not the player he was 4 or 5 years ago. Everybody knows, and including the Eagles coaching staff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a matter of technique too, because sometimes if you play, think of it this way, Frank, when you watch a game, if you're playing zone technique and your body is turned to the inside, okay, which is very often the way you play when you're playing zone technique as opposed to man technique, If your body is turned to the inside and the receiver runs an out route or a stop route, it's very hard for you to truly make a play. You're going to end up having to tackle the guy when he catches it, and that's not. It's just body position. The body can't do that. So sometimes that happens. And
I just wanted to quickly ask you about the Eagles' defense and kind of foreshadowing to the playoffs and how you think they match up with some of the offenses in the NFC North.
yeah, so with Green Bay, their offense starts with the running game. And Jacobs is as physical a back as there is in the league. So the whole focus when you play Green Bay is you've got to line up and stop the run. If they can control the pace and tempo of the game, stay on schedule with the run game, because Jacobs is your classic back who looks like it's blocked for 3, and all of a sudden he gets 7, and you go, holy shit, how did he get 7? And then it's 2nd and 3, and then and I got to tell you that Love is just he's kind of become a little more disciplined. Now, could he become undisciplined in a game situation? Of course he could, but he's become more disciplined. I don't think he's thrown an interception in 6 or 7 games. They haven't had to throw as much because they've been running the ball more, and their O-line has gotten better over the course of the season. But and they've got a lot of weapons, and there's a lot of motion, and there's a lot of movement, and there's a lot of players who line up in different spots. And Love is, just in terms of pure physical gifts, is a top 5 quarterback in the league, because he can make throws, from different angles and falling away. He does that too much at times, but he's capable of doing that. They're a difficult offense to play against, and LaFleur does a really, really good job with the use of motion, particularly in the run game. So, that's a difficult offense to play against.
Kenny Pickett versus Tanner McKee.
Well, we can't go there, Travis. McKee threw 3 balls or 4 balls.
Exactly.
Now, obviously the back shoulder throw to Brown was a great throw, but you could also say that Pickett's throw to Smith for the touchdown was a great throw. So, they're different. Look, I did both guys in detail coming out of college. I've turned out to be wrong on Pickett, although, obviously the Steelers didn't think, they agreed with me because they drafted him in the first round. And it hasn't worked out, and there's reasons for it. And I thought some of those reasons actually showed up in this game, even though he did not turn the ball over. I thought there were some things that stood out where, if you're truly evaluating and coaching quarterbacks, there's a lot to go over. And that's the job of the coaches. But, you have to remember with McKee, he was a big, big time recruit. He went to Stanford. I think he went on a mission. I think he's an older guy, if memory serves me correctly. He's just a pure pocket quarterback. Now, he's not an immobile, can't move at all, but he's a pocket quarterback. But he's got an easy delivery. He's got a good arm. He was, like I said, a big, big time recruit coming out of high school. I remember when Stanford got him, it was kind of a coup because nobody thinks of Stanford as, even though they're a Power 5 conference school, no one thinks of them as one of those schools that's going to get the Tanner McKees of the world. And that's when Stanford was starting kind of to go down a bit. And he had moments in college, but he wasn't, no one said, wow, Tanner McKee, we got to draft him. But he's big, he can throw it. He innately has a feel for the position in terms of how he throws it. So, I think he has a natural sense of anticipation and timing.